All right, let's dive straight into this explainer and uncover the dramatic, hidden reality of the most important place on Earth. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans have pretty much just stood on the shoreline, looking out at the open blue horizon, treating the ocean as this dark, threatening, and largely empty void. It was out of sight and absolutely out of mind. But today, we're living in the greatest age of ocean discovery, and what we are finding beneath the waves is completely rewriting our understanding of the world. It's a tale of astonishing biological interconnectedness, devastating human plunder, and incredibly, a miraculous capacity for rebirth. To really get going, we've got to completely shatter this old illusion that the ocean is just an empty, indestructible desert. The legendary broadcaster David Attenborough really hit the nail on the head here. Think about that. After a full century of observing the natural world, his biggest conclusion isn't about the rainforests or the savannas, it's about the deep blue sea. We have literally seen more of other planets than we have of our own ocean. But rapid advancements in deep-sea technology are finally pulling back the curtain. And once you truly see the sea, you realize it's the very lifeblood of our home.
Part 1. The Hidden Wonders.
The sheer scale of life we're just now discovering down there is staggering. Out in the open ocean, we've recently found there are nearly twice as many underwater mountains, called seamounts, as we originally thought. We're talking 40,000 of these massive structures towering up to 3 miles high. They act like vital pit stops for sharks and tuna migrating across the globe. Closer to shore, kelp forests and newly mapped seagrass meadows are actually absorbing far more carbon than the exact same area of rainforest on land. And perhaps the most mind-blowing part? Microscopic phytoplankton. These invisible, single-celled plants are silently removing a third of our carbon emissions and producing over half of the oxygen on Earth. So yeah, every second breath you take comes directly from the ocean.
Which brings us to Part 2, the industrial plunder. That sense of wonder we just felt, well, it has to brutally shift right now, because that wild, delicate balance is being ripped apart. We really need to talk about the devastating practice of bottom trawling. This method blindly bulldozes an area the size of the entire Amazon rainforest every single year. Imagine just dragging massive metal beams and heavy chains across the seafloor, smashing delicate habitats just to catch one specific species of fish. And the worst part? They often throw away over 3/4 of the dead catch as literal garbage. Plus, this violent churning unleashes massive amounts of buried carbon dioxide, accelerating global warming. The trails of destruction are so huge, you can actually see them from space.
The whiplash here is just heartbreaking. Local divers describe jumping into what looks like an underwater Garden of Eden, 100-year-old sponge gardens and ancient scallop beds bursting with life that took millions of years to evolve. But after a single scallop dredger passes through, it turns into a nuclear winter. Complex underwater jungles become barren, carbon-leaking wastelands in seconds. I mean, if someone drove a bulldozer through a pristine national park on land, there would be global outrage, right? Yet we're doing the exact equivalent underwater thousands of times every single day.
Now, you'd probably assume doing this kind of catastrophic damage is highly illegal. Well, actually, scratch that. Governments spend a staggering $20 billion a year subsidizing industrial overfishing. It's entirely legal and in many cases heavily financially encouraged. This industrialization has already wiped out 2/3 of all large predatory fish, and walls of nets are driving ancient creatures like sea turtles to the absolute brink.
And this modern colonialism at sea isn't just an ecological disaster, it's a profound human tragedy. It directly starves 3 billion people who rely on local, sustainable fishing. As local fisherman John Adams points out, massive factory ships from a few wealthy nations are sweeping up the fish that coastal communities have relied on for thousands of years. They're leaving local fishers with empty nets full of nothing but plastic. The ocean gives life to these communities, and when trawlers strip it bare, they are literally stealing the future right out of the sea. Get this, the industrial fleets have become so relentless that there are now 400,000 industrial vessels hunting the seas. Because they've emptied out the coastal waters, they're pushing further and deeper, even reaching the pristine, freezing waters of Antarctica. Down there, massive factory ships literally vacuum up hundreds of thousands of tons of krill. Now, krill is the tiny crustacean that is the absolute foundation of the Antarctic food web for whales and penguins. And why are we destroying this vital ecosystem? To process it on board for fish farms, health supplements, and pet food. We are literally starving whales to feed our pets. It's wild.
But hang on, because here is part 3, the power of recovery.
Just as the ocean reaches its breaking point, and you might be feeling entirely hopeless, we discover a miraculous glimmer of hope. It's called the spillover effect. It proves that protecting the ocean doesn't mean ending fishing. It actually means bringing abundance back to everyone. For decades, people assumed closing an area meant fishermen lose their jobs. But marine biology is showing us something entirely different, and honestly, almost magical. If left alone, the ocean doesn't just survive. It thrives beyond anything we've ever seen.
The way it works is surprisingly simple. Step 1, you draw a line in the water and create a strict no-take zone where absolutely zero fishing is allowed. Step 2, you just give it a little time. Without the constant pressure of nets, top predators bounce back, bringing the whole ecosystem into balance. Animals grow larger, and larger females produce exponentially more eggs. Step 3, the population gets so incredibly dense that the fish literally spill over the borders into the neighboring unprotected waters.
And this isn't just a fun theory, we are seeing it play out in the real world with undeniable results. Look at the Mediterranean Sea, historically the most overfished body of water on Earth. By fully protecting less than 1% of it off the coast of France, even the largest predators made a rapid, stunning comeback. Or look at Hawaii. Setting aside a vast area of the Pacific led to a 54% increase in the catch rate of yellowfin tuna right outside the reserve. Fishermen fishing on the borders of these protected zones are pulling up the absolute best catches of their entire careers.
We know we can do this because we've actually pulled off a global ocean rescue mission before. During 100 years of industrialized whaling, we pushed almost all great whales to the brink of extinction. The mighty blue whale was reduced to just 1% of its original population. 1%. But then, public pressure finally forced lawmakers to ban commercial whaling. The results? In just 10 years, humpback whales in the South Atlantic tripled. Today, fin whales and blue whales are returning in numbers that were completely unimaginable half a century ago. One single policy change triggered a massive rebound of the largest creatures on Earth.
So how do we scale this incredible healing power? Part 4, Blueprint for Survival.
To save the ocean from total ecological collapse, the world's leading scientists all agree we must strictly protect at least 30% of it. But right now, in practical, meaningful terms, we protect less than 3%. A massive 97% of the ocean is either entirely unprotected or locked in so-called protected areas where completely destructive practices like bottom trawling are, unbelievably, still allowed. So we're looking at a 27% gap that we absolutely have to close. The crazy thing is, the solution isn't some big mystery. Virtually every country on Earth has already agreed to this exact blueprint on paper. We just need to establish strict no-take zones covering at least a third of the ocean. We need to strategically place these zones along heavily fished coastal shorelines to maximize that spillover effect for local communities. We must protect those open ocean magnets for life, like the seamounts. And above all, we absolutely must ban destructive bottom trawling inside any area we dare to call a marine reserve. We know exactly what to do, we simply have to execute it. As native Hawaiian elders so wisely point out, the planet itself will go on. The Earth has survived asteroid impacts and ice ages, it'll eventually recover from us. But without a healthy, functioning ocean, our primary life support system that regulates our climate and produces our oxygen, we simply will not exist. We are at a defining moment. We've witnessed the horrific destruction, but we also hold the blueprint for an incredible rebirth. If we save the sea, we literally save our world. Which leaves us with one final urgent question about our own survival. The planet will go on, but will you choose to be a part of its revived future?